It's a sacred place. We don't live in a church.
The world is incredible, but some spots are so mysterious and off-limits that they drive scientists crazy with curiosity. From secret islands to dangerous caves, these locations hold secrets we are not even close to uncovering. So, stay tuned as we are about to reveal 10 forbidden places scientists are dying to explore. Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, Ukraine. Chernobyl has captivated scientists and explorers for decades. It's a site that holds a mystery, not just because of the horrific disaster that unfolded there in 1986, but also because of its strange and curious aftermath. The Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, still a radioactive wasteland, is one of the most studied areas in the world, and scientists continue to be fascinated by what's happening in this weird environment. Let's rewind to 1986. A catastrophic nuclear meltdown occurs at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union. The explosion is so powerful it sends a 2,000-ton lid flying off one of the reactors. The result was no one could imagine a massive release of radioactive materials, far more dangerous than even the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. It's a disaster of epic proportions, and radiation spreads, contaminating large swaths of Europe, including Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine. In response, the Soviet Union quickly sets up the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, a no-go zone covering about 1,040 square miles, 2,700 square kilometers around the plant. This area is marked off for safety, allowing only government officials and scientists in. In the days following the disaster, around 116,000 people were evacuated, and by the time it was all over, nearly 200,000 people were relocated. But what's left behind? A ghost town filled with abandoned buildings, silent streets, and a toxic environment. Even though the area remains uninhabited, nature is slowly taking over, and scientists are inquisitive about how wildlife survives in this radioactive zone. Why do scientists keep studying Chernobyl? Well, something incredibly strange is happening in that exclusion zone. It's one of the few places where radiation continues to affect life on a large scale. While many are familiar with the tragic aspects of the disaster, the way plants, animals, and even the environment adapt to the radiation is disturbing and fascinating. The site has become a living lab where researchers can study the long-term effects of radiation on ecosystems. But while Chernobyl is undeniably captivating, it's not the only place on our list filled with mysteries. The next entry is bound to raise some eyebrows. Forget Chernobyl for a moment, because what we're about to explore is far more curious: the Doomsday Vault. Trust me, it's even stranger than you can imagine. But before we move forward, if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, do it right now. The Doomsday Vault, Svalbard, Norway.
Just look at the landscape around us and how remote.
Deep in the frozen mountains of the Arctic, there's a place that might seem like the last spot on Earth you'd think about. But hidden inside this icy fortress is something incredibly precious: the future of our food. Sounds like a movie plot, right? But it's real. Scientists are buzzing about the Global Seed Vault, a mysterious high-tech safety deposit box home to millions of seeds stored in a mountain above the Arctic Circle. Why all the hype? Well, this place, built on the island of Spitsbergen in Norway, holds the most extensive collection of agricultural biodiversity in the world. It's not just a storage facility, it's a backup plan for humanity. If something terrible happens, war, climate change, or natural disasters, the seeds here could help us rebuild our food systems. Imagine over 930,000 types of seeds, many from food crops we rely on daily, safely packed away for the future. It's like keeping a secret stash of emergency supplies for the planet's food. The Global Seed Vault, nicknamed the Doomsday Vault by some, might sound like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie, but here's the twist. It's not just for the end of the world. It's designed to protect against more common, minor disasters happening every day, like war or flooding, that threaten seed banks all over the globe. Think about it. Entire collections of seeds lost in wars, natural disasters, or even due to lack of funding. That's why the vault exists, to ensure that we have backups if something happens. This place is more than just a collection of seeds, though. Inside, the seeds are carefully stored in vacuum-packed bags in sub-zero temperatures. Some are so old they're not even in use anymore, but they might be the key to creating new crops that can survive climate change, fight diseases, or thrive in extreme heat. The vault is a time capsule holding the key to the future of food. There are even seeds from places like Syria, where war has wiped out entire collections. And guess what? Those seeds came back to life. returning to the vault after being replanted in safer places. So, what's the big deal? Why do we care about these seeds? Well, because they might hold the secret to our survival. These seeds could be our lifeline if the world faces a food crisis. And that's why scientists are fascinated by this place. But this is not the only mind-blowing site on our list. The next one is even more mysterious, hiding in plain sight, North Sentinel Island. Now, that's a place you won't believe exists. North Sentinel Island, India. Let's tour a place so mysterious and isolated that people who dare to venture too close are met with arrows and hostility. This isn't just some random island. It's North Sentinel Island, one of Earth's most secluded and protected spots. Scientists and explorers are fascinated by this place because it's home to the Sentinelese, a group of people who have lived in complete isolation for thousands of years. It's like a living mystery, a glimpse into what life might have been like for our ancestors, untouched by the outside world. The Sentinelese are among the last Earth groups that have no contact with modern society. This tiny island sits far from shipping routes, surrounded by a treacherous reef, making it incredibly hard to reach. The Indian government has protected the island for years, trying to keep outsiders away to preserve the tribe's way of life. But, as we know, curiosity gets the better of some people. So, who are the Sentinelese? No one knows much about them. According to a 2011 census, there could be anywhere from 80 to 150 people living on the island, but some believe there could be as many as 500. They're closely related to other tribes in the Andaman Islands, but their language is so unique that even nearby tribes can't understand them. We know they live in small huts, fish, hunt wild pigs, and gather fruits and tubers from the island. They're incredibly skilled with bows and arrows, and if you try to visit, you'll quickly learn that they don't appreciate uninvited guests. Over the years, outsiders have tried to visit, but it almost always ends badly. In 1771, a ship sailed past the island and saw lights on the shore, but the people on the island stayed hidden. Then, in the 1800s, when the British colonized the Andaman Islands, they sent an expedition to the North Sentinel. The result? The Sentinelese weren't interested in making friends. They quickly fled into the jungle, and the British took a few prisoners, which only made things worse. Years later, an escaped convict found his way to the island, and let's say he didn't make it out alive. The real question is, why don't the Sentinelese want visitors? The answer is simple: they don't need us. They've lived without outside influence for so long that they see anyone who arrives as a threat. Every time someone tries to make contact, the results are the same: arrows flying, hostility, and a quick retreat from the island. They've perfected the art of keeping the world at bay. And while this island might seem strange and mysterious, hold on tight, because the next mystery we're going to talk about is going to blow your mind. The Sphinx's hidden chambers. Are they real? Let's watch out. The Sphinx's hidden chambers, Egypt. The Great Sphinx at Giza is a fascinating ancient wonder that keeps us guessing. Scientists have been captivated for centuries by its massive size, mysterious origins, and, most intriguingly, the tunnels and shafts believed to be hidden beneath it. These underground spaces have fueled many theories about the Sphinx, from secret chambers to ancient knowledge waiting to be uncovered. Let's start with the infamous Perring's Hole. This one's pretty wild. Back in 1837, a man named Howard Weiss drilled a shaft behind the Sphinx's head. Why? He was looking for hidden chambers. But his drill got stuck 27 feet down, and he eventually gave up. Fast forward to 1978, and archaeologist Zahi Hawass cleared the hole to find a part of the Sphinx's headdress. Can you imagine seeing a piece of history like that after over 100 years? Now, take a look at the hole in the Sphinx's head. No, it wasn't a mistake. It's thought to have been used to attach a crown or headdress to the Sphinx, possibly during Egypt's New Kingdom period. The hole is about 6 feet deep. Some believe it marks a crucial part of the Sphinx's identity. This discovery ties into ancient artwork, like the Dream Stele, which shows the Sphinx wearing a crown. While no one can say for sure, it gives you the feeling there's so much more going on than a giant stone statue. Then there's Shaft C, found on the Sphinx's back. This fissure is a crack shaped into a shaft. It's believed to have been made by natural forces, but people suspect it was altered to serve some purpose. It's about 6.6 feet wide and leads to a dead end, but it raises the question, could it have once been part of a more extensive secret system? Zahi Hawass sealed it up in 1926, but no one knows what's down there. Shaft D also gets a lot of attention. 1980, archaeologists found it to be a passage leading to a water table. It's an unfinished trench, but it's another odd feature of the Sphinx that's always had people talking. And don't even get started on the keyhole shaft. a cavity found near the Sphinx that could have been part of an unfinished tomb. What was the original purpose of these shafts, and why haven't we found more answers? As if that's not enough, there's the Hall of Records. This legendary space is rumored to house ancient Egyptian knowledge, but no one has found it yet. Could a hidden library under the Sphinx be waiting to change everything we know about ancient Egypt? All these discoveries are fascinating, but hold on to your hat. This is nothing compared to what we will explore next. Have you ever heard of the strange Poveglia Island? Let's say it's a place that leaves everyone on edge. Poveglia Island, Italy. Let me take you to a chilling and incredibly fascinating place. Poveglia Island, one of the creepiest spots in Italy. Located just off the coast of Venice, this island has been the source of so many strange stories that it's hard to know what's real and what's just imagination running wild. Scientists and thrill seekers are drawn to the island, trying to uncover the truth behind its spooky past. Poveglia Island wasn't always a place of doom. It was once a peaceful refuge. Back in the 7th century, people settled here to escape the chaos of mainland Italy. It became a small, thriving community that traded with nearby towns but avoided the worst wars that raged on the mainland. However, all that changed in the 14th century when a big war, the War of Chioggia, forced the islanders to leave. They packed up and moved to Venice, leaving Poveglia behind for a while. Fast forward to the 18th century, and Poveglia had a new job. The island was turned into a quarantine site for ships carrying the plague. As the disease spread, thousands of infected people were sent to Poveglia to die. The island became a grim place, where the plague's victims were either burned or buried in mass graves. Some say that half of the island is made of human ash, a terrifying thought when you realize how many people suffered and died there. The spookiness didn't end there. In the 20th century, the island was turned into a psychiatric hospital. The stories of what happened there are enough to send chills down your spine. Legend has it that the director of the hospital went mad and jumped to his death from a clock tower. But wait, here's where things get even weirder. Some say it wasn't just a regular jump, but a mysterious fog that led to his fall. Was it the ghostly presence of all the people who had died there? It's hard to say. And if that's not creepy enough, there are rumors that patients at the hospital saw the ghosts of plague victims wandering around, tormenting them. What's true and what's just a tale? Well, we'll never know for sure. Today, Poveglia is wholly abandoned. The buildings are falling apart, and the air still feels heavy with the stories of the past. But here's the thing. This place may seem mysterious, but wait till you hear about the next one, the Lascaux Cave. Trust me, it's even stranger. Lascaux Cave, France. The mysterious and amazing Lascaux Cave, a place that's captured the attention of scientists and history lovers alike. Imagine stumbling upon a hidden world of art and life over 17,000 years old. That's precisely what happened when the Lascaux Cave was discovered in 1940, and ever since, it has drawn curious minds worldwide. So, here's how it all went down. On September 12, 1940, a group of young boys from Montignac in southern France set out to explore what they thought was just a fox den. Little did they know, they were about to uncover one of the most significant archaeological sites in the world. Marcel Ravida led the boys to enlarge a small hole in the ground and crawl through it. They followed a narrow passageway, and after walking a little over 30 meters, they saw something incredible. The walls were covered in paintings. This was the Axial Gallery, part of the more extensive Lascaux cave system, and it was like stepping into a time machine, back to the world of prehistoric people. These weren't just any paintings. The walls were filled with images of animals, bison, horses, stags, crafted with stunning detail. It was an entire bestiary, a window into the past. But it wasn't all just about the paintings. One of the cave's most mysterious discoveries was a scene with a man facing off with a bison. Who were these people? What were they trying to say? What did this art mean to them? Now, what makes this cave so unique isn't just the art itself, but the fact that it's one of the few places where we have found actual tools and objects used by those who created the art. From tools for engraving and painting to the remains of animals they hunted, the Lascaux Cave gives us a rare glimpse into their daily lives. The cave wasn't just a place of artistic expression, it was a site of occupation, with evidence that people lived and worked there. It's like finding a treasure chest full of clues to our earliest ancestors. But here's the twist. This discovery was just the beginning. What's strange is how such a massive and beautiful art cave remained hidden for so long. It makes you wonder, what else is out there waiting to be discovered? And let me tell you, this story is nothing compared to the next one, a mystery that is even more mind-blowing. The Tunguska Event Site, Siberia, Russia. Just imagine a moment that feels straight out of a sci-fi thriller. June 30th, 1908. It was early morning in one of the most remote corners of Siberia, where the vast forests stretch endlessly. Then, suddenly, the sky ignites. A fireball streaks through the atmosphere, followed by a powerful explosion that shakes the earth. Trees were flattened for miles, animals perished, and those closest to the event were tossed into the air like rag dolls. This was no ordinary event. It was the infamous Tunguska explosion, one of the biggest cosmic mysteries on Earth. Here's what we know. An asteroid, about the size of a small building, entered Earth's atmosphere and exploded in the sky about 6 miles above ground. The massive explosion flattened around 80 million trees across over 800 square miles. Imagine the sheer force. It's been compared to 1,000 atomic bombs. As far as hundreds of miles away, people reported seeing a bright flash, hearing what sounded like cannon fire, and feeling the ground tremble. And yet, because it happened in such a remote area, it didn't grab much attention then. Fast forward nearly 2 decades, and the first proper scientific expedition to the site finally occurred. In 1927, a geologist named Leonid Kulik made the grueling journey to investigate. When he arrived, what he saw was straight out of a nightmare. The trees at the epicenter stood eerily upright, but were stripped bare, like skeletons. Farther out, the forest looked like a giant hand had swept through, knocking everything flat. Yet, there was one strange detail: no impact crater. Why? Because the asteroid exploded mid-air, vaporizing most of it before it hit the ground. Scientists have studied Tunguska ever since, trying to piece together what happened. Was it an asteroid? A comet? Some even speculated wild theories like alien intervention. What we do know is this: Tunguska wasn't a one-time fluke. Evidence of past cosmic impacts has been found worldwide, from dinosaurs' extinction to Arizona's craters and molten glass in ancient Syrian sites. These events remind us how vulnerable we are to the universe's unpredictable forces. The truth is that this isn't even the most puzzling mystery out there. The next entry on this list is the Atacama Desert, home to strange secrets that'll leave you questioning reality. The Atacama Desert, Chile. Do you know there is a place so dry and otherworldly that scientists, explorers, and even filmmakers are completely fascinated by it? It is the Atacama Desert in northern Chile. Known as the driest non-polar desert on Earth, this place is like stepping onto another planet. Imagine a region so barren that some parts have never recorded rainfall in human history. Stretching for about 700 miles along the Pacific coast, the Atacama is framed by dramatic landscapes. On one side, you've got steep coastal mountains, some of which dive straight into the ocean with cliffs over 1,600 feet high. On the other side, the Andes loom with volcanic peaks that soar to over 16,000 feet. And between these towering ranges lies the heart of the desert, where endless salt flats, dusty plains, and rocky dunes stretch as far as the eye can see. Sounds like the perfect setting for a sci-fi movie. Now, you might wonder, why is it so dry? The answer lies in a fascinating mix of natural forces. The cold Peru current hugs the coastline, chilling the air and creating a layer of fog without any rain. Combine that with high-pressure systems overhead that push moisture away, and voila, you have a desert where the air feels ancient and untouched. Despite this harshness, temperatures are surprisingly mild, hovering around 66 degrees Fahrenheit, even in summer. But here's where things get intriguing. The Atacama isn't just about extreme dryness. It's also a treasure trove of history and riches. It was home to the Atacameño people, who survived in this challenging landscape for centuries. In the 19th century, it became the center of heated battles between Chile, Bolivia, and Peru over its valuable sodium nitrate deposits used to make fertilizer and explosives. Chile practically controlled the global nitrate market at one point, raking in massive wealth. And if that weren't enough, the Atacama has another claim to fame: copper. The Chuquicamata mine, one of the largest in the world, is still a significant source of income for Chile. From ancient survival stories to modern industrial powerhouses, the Atacama Desert is packed with natural and human-made drama. The Apennine Colossus. A giant is watching over the landscape in the rolling hills of Tuscany, Italy. He's not alive, of course, but you wouldn't know it just by looking at him. Standing 36 feet tall, the Apennine Colossus, or Father Apennine, as some call him, looks like he's been carved straight out of the mountain he protects. And let me tell you, this isn't just any old statue. Created in 1580 by the legendary Renaissance sculptor Giambologna, this massive stone figure is more than just a work of art. He's a tribute to the strength and mystery of the Apennine Mountains, a range so mighty they stretch across the spine of Italy. But here's where things get interesting. Father Apennine is hiding secrets. Oh yes, this giant has rooms inside him. Actual rooms. Now, before we get to the hidden chambers, let's take a moment to admire the artistry. Giambologna didn't just sculpt a face on a boulder, he created a titan that looked like he could rise up at any moment. His thick, rocky beard seems to flow like a waterfall, his muscled form blending seamlessly into the wilderness around him. It's as if he emerged from the mountain, a guardian keeping watch over the land. But step closer, if you dare, and you'll find doors leading inside this colossus. That's right, Father Apennine isn't just a statue, he's an architectural masterpiece. Within his massive frame are hidden chambers designed to hold fountains, fireplaces, and even dining areas. Imagine having dinner inside a giant statue. Renaissance architects knew how to flex their creativity, didn't they? What's even more fascinating is how Giambologna gave this figure life. Inspired by myths and legends, he drew from stories of titans like Atlas, who carried the world on his shoulders. The Apennine Colossus captures that same powerful energy, a mix of wisdom and brute strength. Some say it's as if the mountain came to life to protect its domain. Today, this incredible sculpture stands in the gardens of Villa Demidoff near Florence, drawing visitors worldwide. People come not just to marvel at its size, but to feel the magic of standing in the shadow of something so timeless and grand. Father Apennine may be impressive, but it pales in comparison to the Hill of Crosses, which claims the #1 spot on our list. What's waiting there is not just mysterious, it's downright chilling. Hill of Crosses. Lastly, I'm about to take you to a place that's as odd as it is inspiring, a hill covered in thousands upon thousands of crosses. It's called the Hill of Crosses, tucked away in northern Lithuania, just outside Šiauliai. Why would anyone cover a hill with crosses, you ask? Well, that's the mystery that has kept people fascinated for nearly 2 centuries. Scientists, historians, and even spiritual seekers are drawn to this spot, trying to uncover the hidden layers of stories. The first thing you notice when you arrive is the sheer number of crosses. Big ones, small ones, wooden ones, metal ones. Everywhere you look, there's a cross. Some are adorned with rosaries that chime gently in the wind, creating an almost otherworldly soundtrack. Others are carved with prayers, names, or dates, each a silent witness to someone's story of faith, love, or loss. Now, here's where things get interesting. No one knows precisely when or why it started. The first written records mention the site in 1850, but some believe the tradition began much earlier. One theory says it all started after the failed uprisings against Russian rule in 1831 and 1863. Families weren't allowed to properly bury or honor their loved ones who died during the rebellions, so they began placing crosses there as a quiet act of defiance. But that's not the only story. Some locals swear the Virgin Mary herself appeared on this hill, holding the baby Jesus and asking the faithful to fill the space with crosses. Whether you believe it or not, the Hill of Crosses became a symbol of hope and resistance, especially during some of Lithuania's darkest times. And speaking of dark times, let's talk about the Soviet era. Religion was banned, and the Hill of Crosses was seen as a direct challenge to the regime. In 1961, Soviet bulldozers flattened the entire site, destroying every cross in sight. But the locals, they weren't giving up that easily. Under darkness, they returned night after night, placing new crosses despite the risks. The hill was destroyed 4 more times, but every time, it was rebuilt, bigger and stronger than before. Today, the Hill of Crosses is a spiritual and cultural icon, recognized even by United Nations, educational, scientific, and cultural organization. Pilgrims worldwide come here, adding their crosses to the growing sea of devotion. The world is packed with forbidden places hiding secrets that could change everything we know about history, science, and nature. While some remain out of reach, the fascination only grows. Who knows? Maybe one day these mysteries will finally be uncovered.